October. Begin with a roll call. Director Bill Kriebel.
Here.
Director Bob Lux is here. Director Donna McAleer
Here.
is here. Director Paul Shu is absent. Director Dale Walker
Here.
is here. Good, we have a quorum. We have an Heavenly Father, we come to you today as an assembled body. We humbly request that you bless our meeting, our community, and our nation. Help us to work diligently, always for the common good and in the best interest of those who we have been elected to represent. Guide us to be insightful and prudent in our intentions, visions, plans, deliberations, decisions, and their fulfillment. Work through us to provide a spirit of welcome to all in attendance, to engage in respectful and thoughtful dialogue and discussion with understanding, wisdom, and humility. Amen. If you wish, prior to reciting the pledges of allegiance, please take an additional moment of silent prayer or reflection in the manner of your preference. Thank you. Pledge to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Hey, Shelley, do we have any comments from the public? Do we have any actions required for relief from specific charges to the district? Thank you. Okay. Don't do that. Okay, to the consent agenda. Before we begin, if you hadn't noticed, we have a 26-year employment honoree in our midst today. I'm very appreciative of all of your efforts, Jeannie, and best wishes as we go forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have any questions on the consent agenda, pages 1 through 16 of the meeting packet?
I think I have a question on page 5 at the top. It talked about the community working group and that one member. And it has Director Reynolds for our MUD. Who is that person? I thought it was supposed to be me. So,
I'm sorry. I'm
see top of page 5?
I see it.
There you go, right there.
Oh, mine.
It's a typo, we'll get it.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't know. I
Good
don't know who
catch.
this Director Reynolds person was in our MUD.
Another mine.
I think it was like you were making changes from another template and it just got carried over.
Perhaps.
Good catch. Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome.
We'd hate to have Director Reynolds sitting in on our behalf.
Yeah, that was,
Not be.
and this number 5, we, what is 685895-00?
That was the account number for the water adjustment that you saw and voted on last month.
Oh, last month. Okay, so that's just carried over here
Oh,
on
the
this,
agenda.
on this agenda?
Yes, there was a question of whether or not they had questions, so we kept it on the agenda
Oh, okay,
and they did not.
okay. Did Chris Meeks ever do that tour with Mr. Montano of the wastewater treatment plant too?
I'm not certain.
Okay, because he was here last month talking about odor,
Mhm.
and I didn't know if that got resolved. Okay, then other than that, I don't think I have any more questions on the agenda, other than, let me see. I guess I didn't remember when Mr. Geiger under 18 said our water bill, the average water bill would decrease about $27 per year. That was, okay.
That was due to the GRPP reducing.
Mhm. Okay,
Yeah.
that was it.
I accept a motion to approve the consent agenda as modified.
I'll move, so move.
Second.
Director Walker makes motion, second, Director Freeble. All in favors, further discussion on this matter? All in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, abstain, motion passes. Okay, we are now down to agenda item 11. Receive the regular SJRA Woodlands Division report. Mr. Shackelford, good afternoon.
Yes, just barely. Good afternoon. You'll look at, get to the, our report for the Woodlands and the GRP is pages 17 through 49. Nothing really to note, call to your attention. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them. If not, if I can't answer them, I'll get answers from you
Was there
back.
any further forensics done on that 12-inch C900 brake?
I was gonna ask the same
Alden
thing.
Bridge?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
That's the one that had this 6-foot split in it.
Usually that's a point load, I think, more often.
And what I've heard is it was on the bottom of the
Yeah.
pipe. And so, but they didn't find anything in the bedding that would cause a stress point on the pipe.
But it's this way, right?
Correct.
Not
Oh.
against.
It's longitudinal with the pipe, and most of the cracks that we're seeing on the PVC are longitudinal.
Huh.
Have you done any chemical analysis? Send it to a lab because remember back when we were starting out with PVC that we'd jack up the formulations all the time and we'd end up with a lot or two of really poor performing materials.
It's probably worth looking into. I'm not fairly certain we haven't yet because I hadn't heard anything about it.
okay.
On page 25,
Yes.
I thought we were proceeding with land acquisition.
We are, but we are also pausing because our current analysis that's ongoing about the 4 different scenarios. We want to make certain that we're not buying property prematurely. And 2, if someone were to, I'll say, not be interested in selling and we had to do eminent domain, we're kind of on the fringe of whether we have a public purpose or not.
I remember the conversation being, correct me if I'm wrong, that Chris sort of said, when asked, it was inevitable. There was an inevitability here.
Right.
And the sooner that we get going on it, probably the more cost effective the action would be.
That is correct. He did say that, and I've said it, but with our current state situation, there's some property that property owners have indicated that they would challenge.
Mm.
And others have indicated that they would work with us. You know, it's one thing to have a friendly eminent domain process, and it's another to have a contested.
I always like to mention as you know, as everyone knows, the past due receivables on page 34, GRP, $2,305,000.
Where, oh, that one, okay, I see it now.
Any progress on any of the suits or anything?
We only have the one lawsuit that the antitrust, the federal antitrust trial. We're still waiting to receive the judge's ruling. Quadvest has challenged back to the Supreme Court, a ruling by the Ninth Court of Appeals, the Texas Ninth Court of Appeals, on the breach case. And so they filed a petition with the court, and we have not heard whether the court is willing to hear it or not. So we're holding back, not filing any amicus briefs or any of our documents until we know whether the Supreme Court is going to hear their petition.
Questions for Mr. Shackelford? Further
just,
questions?
The target for 2025 is now 48% groundwater instead of 50%.
That has to do with, when we did our budgeting, we knew we had an increase in groundwater pumpage going to occur because of new development. And we only have a set amount of surface water to deliver. And so with some of the other entities picking up, needing a little bit more, we've reduced you by 2%.
The groundwater, okay.
Yeah. Reduced you all. What sheet are you on?
Page 17, the blend of groundwater, I thought the target was 50-50. And it looks like going forward in 2025, it's going to be 48-50. I'm not reading that right.
50-50.
The budget is,
It's year to date.
excuse me. That's
Year to date, okay,
ma'am.
year to date, okay,
My apologies.
sorry.
Other question? Thank you all very
Thank
much.
Okay, agenda item 12. Receive update regarding status of the Bear Branch, Panther Branch, and Research Forest Drive drainage improvement projects. Director Peterson.
Yes, we had a meeting of the stakeholders a few weeks ago. Each of the 6 stakeholders for the project, and discussed kind of the history of the project and looked at options for going forward or how to go forward. It was decided, at least in the meeting, to entertain the idea of utilizing the model that's now complete and running a couple scenarios at it to see if there's either an additional option or what we could get for the funds that we have in place. And so the engineer will be putting together cost estimates for what that would cost to run those various scenarios of the model. And we actually have a tentative or now actual scheduled meeting of the stakeholders to go over that on Friday, November 1st at 2:00. So the stakeholders will get back together. So I think Bob and Dale are your representatives on that. And I think both of you all said you could make it that day.
Yes, it was very well run, and I really liked the overview in the history to be able to understand where we are now and give the ideas about going forward. I really liked the overview.
Good.
It was really good.
Very good. Agenda item 13, receive the attorney's report. Ryan, welcome back. Glad you and your family are healthy.
Thank you. No general items under the attorney's report today.
That brings us to agenda item 14.
14 is our annual review of the district's investment policy. We have reviewed the policy on behalf of the district and do not have any recommended changes for this year. So we do have the resolution in your packet and for signature to evidence we've completed the annual review and no changes are necessary at this time. We do a motion on that resolution.
We can't make any resolutions to have the funds increased because it's continuing to drop down ever so slightly every month. So that's not a legal
Yeah.
function of legal.
It's gonna,
Yeah.
that keeps lowering, then we're gonna do it.
Yeah,
We're gonna
chase it down.
fill that.
Okay, very good. That has been presented and signed, witnessed. What have you. Okay, very good. Receive and or, sir?
We need a motion on that.
Oh, thank you. Sure, of course we do. Adopt a resolution.
What page is that?
It's
42.
on page
42.
42, yes.
I see it.
Accept the
That's the
recommend.
policy.
That's the signature sheet for the policy, for the reference policy. The reference policy was quite lengthy and it was on the Google Drive.
No changes to it.
No changes. Weren't there some dates or something like that?
Not this year. So last year we did have an update. Normally we need to update it after legislative sessions because, changes can be made to the Public Funds Investment Act or what have you. So we have to update our policy accordingly. But no legislation this year and no other changes that we saw were necessary.
Accept motion to approve as submitted.
So moved.
Motion by Director Preble, second by Director McAleer. Further discussion on the matter? All in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, receive and or act upon the general manager's report, Mr. Peterson.
All right, a couple things to point out. Like you had already pointed out, Jeannie's anniversary earlier, so 26 years. I think last month we were still under construction a little bit with some of the painting stuff. So we're past that kind of first stage. We're moving into increasing some signage internally, some technology with TVs, and then some other interactive things with the customers as they come into the lobby, sprucing up just a little bit more. So more to come on that. Want to let you know that I did speak to the Village Association presidents last week to introduce the water renewal of the Woodlands, as well as talk to them about the community work group. Because as you recall, community work group will have a mud director from each mud, and then a representative from the VA. So I wanted to kind of educate them and on what this was about. And so we're working with them to identify their representatives on the community work group. Let's see. Wanted to report that we have identified and have an acceptance of a new deputy general manager. Been working on that for a couple months and received acceptance last week. So Kim Wright will be the deputy GM. She's currently the general manager for Southern County Mud across the freeway. Has been working in that role for, I believe, almost 4 years. And then before that, she was the Highlands Division Manager at SDRA, actually. So a lot of experience in the mud world, and looking forward to having her. She'll be starting on November 4th, Monday. Wanted to mention to you, we had AWBD had an event a couple weeks ago. We actually ended up having 17 board members across the MUDs, as well as a few of us went, about 20 people or so. It was a great experience. It was a Directors 101 seminar that they hosted. And so in an effort to continue to keep directors up to speed on upcoming events as it relates to AWBD, I think AWBD provides quite a bit of resource to directors. Couple events coming up. October 25th is the AWBD industry webinar. October 30th is the fall seminar from the west side of town. And then January 24th and 5th is the AWBD Midwinter Conference. If you ever have any interest in going to these events, let us know. Shelley can help you get registered or show you how to. And with that, I'll kick it over to John.
I just have a question.
Sure.
On page 44, it talks about the drainage structural failures. Is that the Bear Branch? There's no reference to what it's talking about. Because we're responsible for 10% of the cost of whatever this is. So I
Yeah.
think that's Bear
Yeah, we
Branch.
reported on that a couple of times last year and earlier this year. It's in design right now. If you recall, on the southwestern tip of Mud 7.
I see that, yeah.
And
Where the little yellow piece down there.
That's right. That's your 10%. So there was a drop structure that was right there, roughly off that corner of 7, that's been in evaluation and designed by the engineer. And so we're getting really close
Is
to,
there a name for that? Because it's just saying drainage structural failures.
the ditch itself that it feeds into has a specific name. I can
Okay.
look that up. It's a number. It's
Okay, thank you.
letters and numbers. It's not a name per se, but can refer to that.
Same venue. I just have a comment about something. They're not here unfortunately, but I think congratulations to Danny Kennard and Cesaro Ramiro Chavez for 45 and 41 years of employment with WWA. That's spectacular. That's amazing. It's terrific. It must signify to me it's a pretty good place to work.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, it means they're close to retirement.
Yes.
I was thinking the same thing.
It'll be difficult to replace, but what a value to be able to allow them to
Mhm.
provide certification with that we don't have letters.
Seen everything that went in the ground.
It's pretty amazing. The other thing, again, just almost anecdotal, what's the material type of that Shadow Bend sewer collapse?
HDPE.
How did it fail?
Well, it wasn't. It was PVC.
Oh,
Again.
okay.
Yeah, it's been replaced.
Solid wall PVC?
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
And that's in mud 47.
Can I add something
Yes, ma'am.
before we transition? That Director Walker sent me a video on YouTube from Agricultural Sid Miller. Have you seen it? About our water?
Yeah, I
Um,
forgot about that.
To make a long story short, he talks about how he's trying to lobby this, the state legislature about water reclamation, and that when we have these huge storms, all we're concerned is get it out of the community and get it out to the Gulf. He said we should be storing that water and using it. And even if you don't use it for residential drinking water, you could use it for farming. You could use it to water the golf course or whatever. But he said they're doing it, I think, in Alice, Texas,
Yes.
that they finally started to do it. And now they're able to grow rice there again. They were never able to do it because it's kind of arid. But what they do is you collect storm water and
You recharge
you
aquifer.
recharge the aquifers, and that we should be doing that because we're running out of well water in all parts of Texas, and that could include here too, that you keep trying to go deeper and deeper and trying to get more and more groundwater. He said we need to be doing that. And I guess he was being interviewed. They said, doesn't that cost money? He says, well, the alternative is you run out of water. And he said, we're just letting billions of gallons go into the ocean. That's free from the storm. So I don't know if the San Jacinto River Authority is doing anything or talking with the rest of, it's not just a regional, it's the whole state of Texas. So I just thought I'd throw that out. We talked about the desalination of seawater that like they do in Israel, but they said they also recapture, that we should be doing water recapture. I don't know if what we call that term, but you
Water
know,
capture.
because I see in here that we're digging bigger ditches so that we have less flooding. We're trying to make sure that we reduce flooding here, but he's talking about not reducing flooding, but capturing that and putting it in off storage containers for future use.
You would have to set up either injection, or you'd have to set up some sort of storage, right? Maybe some of these flood ponds could be turned into that. You would need to be able to get it into the reservoir and then turn around and get it back. And we all remember that Pecos cantaloupes were so famous. Eisenhower got them into the White House. They were the best cantaloupes, muskmelon, whatever you want to call them. And they're no longer can be grown because in Pecos, the water table drops so low that you can't get to the fresh water anymore. So there are parts of Texas, certainly West Texas, where I used to live, agriculture, you can't do it anymore. And actually, as you go towards Lubbock, it's affected cotton. that's affected it. So he's the agriculture.
He's agricultural, talked about, depending on where you are in the state, if you have rivers that overflow during a
Right.
flood zone, instead of like trying to get rid of that water, store it and then use it for agriculture later.
What you could do is you could take some of the flood ponds that we have here that are, they take the surge and then hold it and then get it out. What you'd have to do is you'd have to somehow turn that around and have injectors store it in the aquifer.
So we talked about that there's 50-year water plan, but it's already 30 years out of date, and we need to redo the water plan again for Texas. And he talked about the Texas Water Development Board. Am I saying that
Mhm.
correctly?
Yes, you are.
And he talked about there's federal funds, there's Texas funds, and that, yeah, here we are. I mean, we approached Senator Cornyn and Dan Crenshaw, and they shrugged their shoulders, and there's no more money. So I don't know what Commissioner Miller is talking about, that there's money out there from the water development boards.
Yeah, there's plenty. There's a lot of
Moving parts.
problems with some of the things that,
Right, I'm not saying you have the answer, but he said there's money out there, and it's,
Sure.
and I don't know if it takes a state legislature to command it to come down to us. I don't know how that
no,
works.
Woodlands doesn't meet the requirements for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, most of the state funding is based on demographic and affluency. And so the Woodlands doesn't meet the minimum criteria for most of those funds.
Because we're too wealthy, or we still have water needs?
Not like that, not like what you're describing.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have the issues he's describing, like in West Texas. That's definitely happening there. It's not happening here
Okay.
necessarily. We have other water issues for sure, but
Mhm.
not what you're describing.
Wasn't the Brazos River Authority doing that down and around Dow? At the end of the line, you recall that, Ed? Off Channel Reservoir?
They were doing an off-channel reservoir, remember Allen's Creek? It was a city of Houston project. Legislature gave it back to the BRA. So they're doing something there. Water Development Board is currently doing an aquifer storage recovery project for us,
Okay.
studying the feasibility of it.
Okay, that's good news.
It's great news.
That's been in the works about 2 years. We have a briefing on that next week.
And there's one in East Texas, it's what, 70,000 acres or 83,000 acres, right? That's
I'm not aware of that.
I think it's the Trinity River. Is it Trinity? And-
There's Trinity's up there, yeah.
Yeah, and what the deal is, they were looking at building a reservoir, and then that would be supporting DFW, mostly Dallas. I think Dallas and East,
Well, there is a reservoir being built in northeast Texas,
Northeast, yeah.
Boat Ark and then Ralph Hall.
Yeah.
One of them's already online, the other one is in progress. The idea of storing all the stormwater that, you think about all the stormwater that we released
Harvey.
earlier this year, that would take a lake as big as Conroe sitting off to the side,
Yeah,
dry, to fill it up.
Yeah.
So and then every time you start thinking about a new reservoir, then you start thinking about, okay, where are you going to put it? How are you going to acquire the land? Because people are not willing to give up their farmland or their ranches or their family property that's been in the generation 6
So we
years.
have to be
6 times.
underground, and maybe we have pipes, like we bring oil from the north and come through into Houston and be refined.
You're
We do
talking
something with
huge,
water.
huge pipes,
True.
huge storage facilities. What you see around here in the way of ground storage tanks, the ones we have at the surface water plant, those are 5 million gallon tanks. You would need 10 and 20 and 30 million gallon tanks and multiples to make any dent in
So I guess the
saving water.
easiest thing is to capture it as it's going into the Gulf, funneling into something down there.
We're still looking at ways to move water around Texas and what type of infrastructure would be needed. Big thing is, how do you pay for it? How do you get all of Texas to pay for it instead of just localized areas? So there is conversations occurring at the state level about creating a Department of Water similar to Department of Transportation to figure out how to move water across the state.
And we know that California faced this in the 40s when they moved water massive distances. And I don't remember the acronym for their water system, but they moved it, I think it was open canals actually, down to LA. Because LA, if you don't have the water from Northern California, it's a desert.
Mhm.
And they had the same problem with agriculture there is eventually near Bakersfield in that area, the water's gone because they sucked it. So they couldn't grow anything. So they ended up building that canal all the way from near Eureka in the north down to supply to LA, I think, right? It was finished in the
Well, and
50s.
I'm also remembering some canals that were coming out of the mountains, right?
Yes.
Snow melt.
And they're looking at building some additional reservoirs, but they have a different ability because they're able to build big reservoirs because they have the relief that they can do, whereas here we don't have that relief.
There are things in process. It's going to take a while, and it's going to be beyond everybody's lifetime in this room.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your help. John?
Good afternoon. Page 48 is your communications report. I think you've been seeing a lot more on infrastructure renewal communications, hopefully so. That launched on 19th of September. So we put a lot of effort into getting that out, making folks aware of the dedicated website, Water Renewal of the Woodlands, and also getting that resident survey out. So we had 366 responses to that survey. Just want to touch on a few of the highlights. We saw satisfaction levels tracking pretty well with our previous customer surveys. High satisfaction levels, 86% satisfied or very satisfied with their overall quality of services. 72% with overall maintenance of our infrastructure. 63% satisfied or very satisfied with the value they receive. 23.5% neutral. So that dip is something that caught our attention, especially considering that I think our residents receive tremendous value, given how we compare to regional water providers, our mud tax rates, the quality of services they get. So we'll look at that and see what kind of additional messaging we can get out on that. Top priorities for customers. Number 1 was safe drinking water. Number 2, reliable long-term water supply. And 3, sustainability. That was out of roughly 12 to 15 options there. Those were the top 3. And if you haven't visited the website lately, you're going to see a few additions. We will continue to keep that updated with the latest information, of course, continuing to add new FAQs as input comes to us through that customer portal on that website. As folks enter questions and comments, we want to hear that and respond to it, adjust the website accordingly. And one thing you'll see here in the near future, what we call project cut sheets. So these are one-pagers on individual projects that are in process with information on estimated costs, description of the project, funding, and so on. So folks can get a little more specific with those individual projects. We've got some current marketing materials here following on the next couple pages. We are up and running again with Instagram. Excited about that. Get that added to our social media suite. And the outreach calendar on page 51, we've got a big day coming up this Saturday, the 19th at North Shore. So we've got the Wildflower Festival. That's always a big popular community event. We'll be out there during the day, and then we'll stay there through the night and participate in the 50th anniversary celebration. So if you're out there, come on by, say hi.
Isn't that the one that it's a huge tree that they're going to be planting?
It's planted.
Oh, it is
It is.
planted. Oh, okay.
Yeah, big oak tree. It's at North Shore Park.
Was it 100 gallons or something like that?
It's big.
It's immense. Yeah, and I'm glad that we're going to be there.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Thank you.
all hands are welcome to show up, I'm sure, to
Please.
pitch
Yeah,
in.
we always love seeing directors out at in-person events. Absolutely.
That's gonna be a good deal on the 19th. Very good. Thank you, John. Okay. Closed session, Counselor?
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to discussion for matters for placement on future agendas. Anything?
Did we do the trustee summary?
Oh, pardon me. I'm getting ahead of
Trustee.
myself. Thank you. We need to have the trustees report. General Manager Peterson, please.
Couple highlights. See, we talked about director's lots.
You need to unlock your iPhone first.
Someone's not the only phone.
Contact info are you looking for?
Shut up.
I didn't think I said anything to tip her.
Don't worry, it's not listening to you.
Not listening.
You heard about what is it, the little robots that do the,
Roombas?
yeah, somebody hacked it the other day.
Oh, my gosh.
Jeez.
Maybe I get to this later.
You can't make this stuff up. So I'm sure you're fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure your phone's
We're
fine.
not-
You're probably updated on your iOS. I'm a couple versions back. I'm the ones at risk.
Makes it worse. Okay. Back to
I
Willa.
mean, yeah, the report is here. I don't know what information you want to cover. There was an update from Region H. There was a discussion about director's lots. Jason Millsaps from the Office of Emergency Management and
Keo.
for Judge Keogh, right, attended to talk about what he does and, areas that he focuses on and drainage and other areas and really to introduce himself and see if there's anything we can coordinate on. Which would be,
I thought my reaction was that was really significant, his outreach of offer of acceptance, if we have to engage in dialogue. He was very, very open
absolutely.
about it, and I was very appreciative of that.
I wasn't there, but he gave a presentation to another group, and they talked about trying to clear all the debris from our storms, and that there was like 26 football fields that they were putting debris in, and that they needed, that was only halfway done. And the problem is it's not just everyone saying, why won't they pick up my trees and my leaves, and said, we don't have any place to put it. So I don't know if there's anything,
Very similar to the water situation
where
you
do we
talked
put the
about earlier.
debris,
Where you gonna put it?
where do you put the debris? I'm sure they figured it out by now, but he didn't tell us what they were doing. They had to find more places to put it, and that's what was the holdup was, plus the money. It cost
You also
money to
shared
move it.
with us that we, Montgomery County, had people in Florida assisting them with their
Oh, okay.
emergency. So I thought it was a very nice presentation, very helpful.
Mhm. So I don't know what we could do together with them.
We don't get involved in the debris stuff. That was the township.
No, we dredge things. So I don't know if that would be, don't we like
Yeah, they're not
clear out?
our ditches.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be more regional discussions of drainage across the region itself, not specific to any of our facilities. They don't oversee any of that.
Okay.
Anything else? Now we can move on to
They said,
agenda item 19.
they
Thank
said
you.
there's a community working group membership. First meeting is aimed in November. That's on the last page. Which working group is this? The Holloway one?
Yes, the one you mentioned earlier in the minutes, though.
Okay, because I'm supposed to be, I don't know if I've gotten an email? Maybe I missed it.
Not yet. No, it'll be I think it says November, right?
It says November,
Yeah.
so I was just wondering, I hope I didn't miss anything.
I don't think so.
Okay, thank
I
you.
mentioned earlier that we're still getting the village association members.
Mhm.
Once we have everybody identified, then we'll get the meeting invite sent out.
Okay,
Where's
thank
that,
you.
Don?
On the very last page 55, right
Okay.
here. And they said their
Oh.
first meeting is coming up in planned for
Oh,
November,
okay.
and I thought, I don't know about it yet. But that's because it hasn't been announced yet. So that maybe that could be
Great.
an agenda item for next month.
Okay.
Okay.
The community, the community.
Not what they call that now.
Community work group
Okay,
for the water renewal of the woodlands.
That's a good one because we'd get an update on that.
Mhm.
That's
Okay.
terrific. Community work group update. Anything else? Dale, Don,
No, thank you.
Bill? Meeting adjourned.